Oh, I knew looking at the camera. Is that where I'm? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm here, bro.
You good now?
Yeah,
You sure?
yeah, let's get it, bro.
All right. You ready? You ready for this?
Hello, audience.
Couch Potato General Manager back with another video. Joining me, CPGM Hadley, to discuss the Atlanta Falcons. Hadley is a Falcons fan, and of course, the news has come down after an 0-5 start. Dan Quinn, Thomas Dimitroff have been relieved of their duties. So, Hadley, take it away.
Yeah, man. Let's start off with love, man. Can we start with love?
Yeah.
All right, man. Thomas Dimitroff has been the GM there for a long time, since 2008. Before he came in, the Falcons has never won back-to-back winning seasons. Never had that before. So Thomas Dimitroff came in his first five seasons with the Falcons, had winning records for the first 5 seasons. So this is the most success under any GM that the Falcons have had with Thomas Dimitroff. You know, he came over with that from the Patriots organization, brought in a lot of his buddies, a lot of his friends over there.
Pioli and those guys, yep.
And they were successful. But over recent years, I think the beginning of the downfall was the 28-3 Super Bowl loss when they were up 28-3 to the New England Patriots. They blew a big lead, and that trend has continued over the last couple of seasons. Dan Quinn and that staff has blown big leads after big leads. And also the drafting. That's why Dimitroff had to go, you know. We understand why Dan Quinn had to go, because you are a defensive-minded coach and have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. But how Dimitroff have drafted recently, not able to secure a pass rusher or top-line corners. He's missed on that with, I think, in Isaiah Oliver. AJ Terrell he's still young, we'll see, but they've been drafting with need more than talent. We've seen organizations in the past, like the Ravens and other organizations like that, they're going to get the best player available no matter what the need is. So I think lately Dimitroff has been drafting a lot of need, and it hasn't worked out for him, man. And the Falcons last season blew a lot of leads, started off poorly, and this season started off poorly again, one of the worst defenses, like I said earlier. And it was that time, man. You had to blow it up. The GM and the coach had to go.
You mentioned, you know, the success Dimitroff had early as in his tenure as a GM. And then, of course, Dan Quinn comes in, I think, I believe 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, it was 500 season. And then the next year they go to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? They're one of the best offenses, or the best offense in the NFL that year. They're putting up a ton of points, very explosive. But Dan Quinn cut his teeth in Seattle as a defensive coach. And they've only had one top 10 finish as a defense during his tenure as head coach. And you mentioned it, the collapses, the collapses week in and week out, you know what I mean, over the last few seasons, you know, 2018, 2019, 7-9. Of course, 2019, the Falcons seemed to kind of rally late in the season and went on a bit of a run, but they always start behind the 8 ball over the last couple of seasons. And if they are, you know, going into the second half, going into the fourth quarter with a lead, they're not able to maintain it. So I think as it pertains to Quinn in particular, his defense never really lived up to what you would expect from a defensive-minded head coach. Dimitroff, to your point, he's had some misses. I thought he made some excellent picks along the way, but I think this is one of those situations, and we've talked about it off camera, where you're just like, you know, let's blow the whole thing up, and it's time to hit the reset button. It truly is time to hit the reset button in Atlanta. So with that being said, what's your thought process? Who do you have on your short list to replace Dan Quinn in particular?
I think at the top of the list has to be Eric Bieniemy with the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's get back to that offensive-minded coach, man. And before we get to Eric Bieniemy, I want to talk about that decision with Kyle Shanahan, that 2016 Super Bowl season. The Falcons, Matt Ryan's MVP season, the Falcons offense was going off the whole season. And
it was the offense. It was not the defense. It was not the defense.
They were opportunistic. Beasley had a big season, but you know, the offense was it, and Shanahan wanted the head coaching position. I know at that time it would have been a difficult decision to promote Shanahan and let Dan Quinn walk after a Super Bowl season, but that might have been the best move in hindsight, man. We've seen teams in the past, like the Buccaneers with Cutter replacing Lovie Smith. They hired within the offensive coordinator head coach. I know it's a different circumstance.
It is.
But looking back at it now, with how Kyle Shanahan got the 49ers going, I think that would have been a wiser decision back then.
Gotcha. So you did allude to Cutter. I think he has had his share of struggles. Obviously, a lot of the attention goes in terms of the defensive collapses, but the Falcons make jump out early, and then they're not able to sustain drives throughout the game. What do you think about that? Cutter obviously has head coaching experience. You think he'll get an interview? I know you mentioned Bieniemy is at the top of your short list. What's your thought process there?
Nah, I think Cutter, maybe make him coach it off for the rest of the season. I wouldn't want to retain him. I would try to get, like I said, an offensive-minded head coach like Bieniemy. We've seen how those Andy Reid disciples, they've had success. Peterson in Philadelphia, Nagy, not so much Chicago, but, he got the boys to the playoffs. So I think Bieniemy, bring him over, bring up some minds. He probably bring over some minds in Kansas City to work with the offense and hire a strong defensive coordinator, man. So I think that's the way the Falcons should go there.
That's the formula. So with that being said, what's your thought process regarding Matt Ryan? Arthur Blank has already mentioned that Matt Ryan will likely have some input in terms of what the decision is made at the general manager and head coach position. But from a front office perspective, from an X and O perspective, head coach perspective, what do you think? Let's say Bieniemy does come in. Do you think he pounds the table for Matt Ryan, or do you think you move on?
I think Matt Ryan got some years left. I think he got maybe 4 to 5 seasons left. I don't see anything deteriorated with him. He still can't connect on that deep ball. That's what he needs to. If he can connect on that deep ball, man, the Falcons would be in a lot better shape. But I think he still has the talent, the mindset. He's not old. He's like 34, 35. Fact check that. But I think we still keep Matt Ryan. And try to figure out the defense, man. I think the defense is priority in the draft, but I get what you're saying with Matt Ryan. There's this new, young, strong-arm quarterbacks. You've seen what Justin Herbert's doing. We've seen what Josh Allen is doing. So, and I know this is a class that has some of these quarterbacks. Got Trevor Lawrence. The Falcons should be at the top of that draft pick. It would be a tough decision to make. If we had the number 1 pick, maybe move on from Matt Ryan. I'm not sure. But in my mindset, you keep Matt Ryan and let's build that defense.